Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time here on the West Coast. I am Miss Aurorah. I am brand spanking new to this platform, this app called Clubhouse, and I want to thank my divine brother, Dwayne Macklin, for inviting me here. I put up an event for today to talk about how it is you're going to start a real business in 2021. All right, we're going to get into contract law right now because this is the main issue that I saw with people who came on board with Aurorah Dey Consulting in 2020. Okay, now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Miss Aurorah, number one, I'm a respecter of time. I'm only going to talk for about 20 minutes, okay? Because this is Saturday morning, and if you're operating a real business like Miss Aurorah is, you're not here to just have frivolous conversation, okay? I am a trust specialist, and I'm going to tell you outright that I am the goddess of entrepreneurship. Yes, I can say that. Okay, so I am the creator of the Secured Entrepreneur Movement. What are we doing here? We are operating out of properly structured legal entities so that we can generate, protect, and multiply our revenue. Ms. Aurorah loves assisting entrepreneurs who are cash flowing, okay? The entrepreneurs who are cash flowing, I'm helping you to keep more of that cash. I'm helping you to keep more of your profits, okay? We're talking tax-free wealth. We're talking financial security and anonymity. We're talking you having access to unlimited amounts of cash and high limits of credit, okay, for your business and for yourself personally. And we're talking creating lasting legacies, okay, the generational wealth. Now, here's where Miss Aurorah is going in this talk this morning. In 2020, many entrepreneurs found out that they do not have a real business when they were unable to even complete the PPP application. For the individuals who completed the application, they were denied, okay? They did not have the proper credentialing. They were not qualified, okay? And then others were not even qualified to get some of the free money, the grants, okay? Because they did not, they don't have employees. They weren't even able to say that they were self-employed, okay? And these are the mistakes that new entrepreneurs make because they're not really getting financial mentorship, all right? So the first thing that I want to address is the fact that many of these entrepreneurs were, I'm going to use the word stiffed, okay? They were stiffed out of money, which is why they came to Aurorah Dey, all right? They were trying to conduct business, and they were doing this whole, well, you can pay up front and then I'll take another payment later. Okay, somebody paid up front and then they did not continue to pay. Okay, I don't have a contractual agreement. I cannot get the rest of the money. This is no good, okay? Some of them had a lot of things stolen. They had their literal work stolen. Some of them had their music stolen. I had 2 clients who had artwork stolen, okay? And some ladies actually had a whole website stolen, okay? This is happening because many of us are getting up on Fiverr. We are giving people permission to create logos, graphics, things of this nature. Now, some of the individuals who are on Fiverr are very intelligent, okay? And so they know that if you have not given them a contractual agreement, they can get up on copyright.gov, they can get up on uspto.gov, and they can trademark and copyright the work that they did and claim it as theirs. And then when you use it on your platform, on your website, they have the right to now file a claim against you and collect damages for using their work, okay? So these are the mistakes that the entrepreneurs have been making because they're steadily in this sole proprietor mode, okay? There's something about this sole proprietorship is attractive to people, but it's very damaging, okay? So if you have any names, symbols, devices, a combination of any type of goods or services, that before you put anything out in the public, you need to have your copyrights. You need to have your trademarks. But here's the trick. You need to have these things being owned by the proper legal entity. Why? Because nobody needs to know what the heaven you've got going on in the public. Nobody needs to know what you own. Nobody needs to know that you're the multimillionaire next door. Nobody needs to know any of that. Okay, so you're going to create the proper legal entities to protect yourself. All right. Also, I had a few clients who were sued because they got up on YouTube and they started talking about, they started saying negative things about companies, okay? They said some negative things about some companies. One, a partnership, this was a partnership. They said something that really, it wasn't really harmful, but it was deemed negative to the personality, and they got up on YouTube and said all of this. They had the video taken down. Then they were served for saying all these derogatory things, okay? But that had to do with the fact that there was no disclaimer. They did not make a disclaimer before they started talking on the video. They did not put a disclaimer in the YouTube description, okay? It just doesn't work out when you are not protected, okay? So I'm going to get into the 6 contracts that must be in writing in order for you to enforce them. Now, this is extremely important for the entrepreneur who is new. This is extremely important for the entrepreneur who is deeming themselves seasoned, okay? Because this is what was going on in 2020, all right? Now, the first contract that I'm going to talk about are contracts that cannot be completed within 1 year, okay? If you get into something with somebody, and you already know this is going to take a few months. This is going to take time. And I'm agreeing to give you a specific amount of money at a specific point in time. Okay, I need to have that in writing. I cannot tell you all how many people came on board with Aurorah Dey Consulting in 2020 who were trying to, first of all, get finished works, and then possibly get monies back for the incomplete work. Well, you don't have a leg to stand on simply because you don't have an enforceable contractual agreement, okay? So if you know you're going to be working with people, or you're hiring people off of Fiverr, Google, wherever you're getting them from, and it was worse in 2020 because we're all isolated. We had no choice but to come up on these platforms and try to hire people because we weren't going into places, looking at people in the face and having people in our space, okay? Y'all didn't know that I had real rhyming ability, okay? Okay, the second contract that I'm going to talk about are the contracts transferring real property rights. Oh my gosh. Luckily, I only had about 2 people who did this, but it had to do with desperation for monies. Okay, because what's happening is that you're starting these businesses and you don't have the correct insurance products that will give you a check when you fall on hard times in the business. So what these individuals did was they agreed to allow people to have the property rights to do whatever they wanted to do with it so they can make money and then collect some money. Well, these people collected some money, didn't collect all the money, couldn't take them to court, couldn't do anything, okay? But the people who got the rights sure said, no, we got the rights and here's the proof. Like, how did that happen, okay? Well, it happened for these individuals because the individuals who came to proposition for the property rights were prepared legally. And they saw that the individual who had the real property and the rights originally were not in a position to say nay. They needed the money, so they could not say nay. All right, so now it's this whole big thing to get back what originally rightfully belonged to them, because now legally it rightfully belongs to the individuals who were intelligent enough to do the right thing. Okay. The third contract, and this is imperative for every entrepreneur who is out here saying that they're doing either programs or courses that you're charging $2,500, $3,000, whatever it is, because this is the contract for the sale of goods of $500 or more. If in fact you are selling somebody something, it is more than $500, you have to have a contractual agreement, okay? Because what you all have been doing is you're taking these payment arrangements, okay? Oh, I'll take part of the money, like I just said, I'll take part of the money, all right? And then I'll give you a service, and then I'm going to agree to allow you to pay me at a later time. No. If you don't have a contractual agreement, you're not getting that money. Okay, because most people are dishonest, when it comes to things like that. Now, I'm just going to, Miss Aurorah, for those of you who know who Miss Aurorah is, y'all know I'm going to keep it real. People are dishonest when it comes to things like that. Okay, and then you got the people who they'll sign your contract and then write you a nice letter talking about, I can't continue this. Let me tell you what. When that happens, be prepared to pursue those people by any means necessary. Because these people do this to other people. But there's a persuasion of folks that they won't do it to. Somebody's going to catch that. Okay, the fourth contractual agreement. These are contracts entered into by executors and administrators. Now, I can really speak to this because I'm a trustee for many people, okay? I've only served as an executor one good time, don't want to do it again. I'm an administrator for a few companies, okay? So when people come to Mr. Aurorah and they say, well, I want to do business with XYZ company, I already know what the assets are. I know what the assets are. I know what the value of the assets are. If in fact you want a license to utilize these assets, now I'm going to have a very hefty contractual agreement because I have to now assure, because that is my fiduciary duty, to assure that this estate, this company is paid for the use of their goods and or services, okay? So please, if you have a fiduciary duty to any company, you are a member of a company, you're on the board of a trust company or a board of a company, or you're just the executor or administrator of someone's estate, get contractual agreements with any individual or agency that is coming towards you to utilize the assets of that company or estate. That's it. Okay. The fifth contract. This is a doozy. Oh my gosh. These are the contracts made by one party to pay a debt for another party. Now, I had some clients like this in 2020. They were trying to collect some money. They hired these at-home bill collectors. They didn't hire these, bill collection agencies, okay? So the person calls and they say, well, my mother's going to pay. My aunt's going to pay. My uncle's going to pay. My brother's going to pay, right? And then they talk to the person, yes, this person's going to pay. Okay, well, when are you going to pay? I'm going to pay next week when I get paid or whatever. Oh, really? Okay. Now you're just trusting that. How is that? Hello. You need to have a contractual agreement with this individual who is claiming to have the ability to make this payment on behalf of the debtor, okay? You must have this contractual agreement in writing in order for you to enforce getting that money, okay? This happened a lot in 2020, a lot, okay? Because there were too many people in desperate situations, understandably so, okay? But I'm trying to tell the entrepreneur how to protect themselves, because this is what we do here in the Secured Entrepreneur Movement, all right? The last contract. This is very, very important. You must have a contract in consideration of marriage. And listen to the key word, consideration. I've made the agreement to marry you. I haven't married you yet, but I have agreed to come into the contractual agreement of marriage. Because once I get a license, now I'm in contractual agreement. This is a legal arrangement between two people. Okay. Now, before I agreed to marry you, I did some things. I made some money. I made a whole lot of money. I accumulated a whole lot of assets. I am a manager or a member of a company. I am a shareholder in a company. Okay. I have copyrights, I have trademarks, I have stock certificates, I have real estate, I have landed estate that is valuable. If I don't have a contract in consideration of marriage to you, that states that this all happened before you were even thought about. Before I laid my right eye on you, these things were already in motion. You are not entitled to these things. Because how many of you know, even if you're living with somebody for 30 days, there's such a thing called palimony. Somebody's staying with you. They've got their children staying with you. Their parents are staying with you. Aunts and uncles staying with you. For more than 30 days, they've got mail coming to the house. You're paying a car note. You're paying car insurance. You're not legally married to them yet. You ask them to leave. Oh, yeah, okay, I can do that. But I'm leaving with half because you've been my pal, in-law, okay? Depending on what state you're in, this is a very real situation. So for the entrepreneurs who have accumulated great wealth, or you have things that you know is about to really jump off, you must have a contract in consideration of marriage before you actually get that legal contractual agreement between you and the other person, okay? If you marry the person and you don't have this contractual agreement, the law states that this person is entitled to half of whatever you have accumulated. Depending on what state you do this marriage in, depending on what state you're living in, how many years. So these are all the things that the entrepreneur must research before you get into this particular type of contractual agreement, okay? Because Miss Aurorah saw a lot of that this year, all right? So Miss Aurorah was making emergency trusts, okay? To help people protect these particular types of assets because they were going to marry somebody and they wanted to protect these things. They did not want to make the other person feel uncomfortable by asking them to sign a prenuptial agreement, which is what these things are called. They are called prenuptial agreements. They didn't want to make that person feel uncomfortable. So what we did was we moved some things in their company, okay? And this is, you must do this ahead of time because if that person takes you to court, there's something called a 10-year look back. And if we find that you made a fraudulent conveyance, it's a strike against you. There are consequences to this, okay? So this is what Miss Aurorah wants to share today on this Clubhouse platform. Once again, I am Miss Aurorah Dey. You can find me at AurorahDayConsulting.com. YouTube.com/Aurorah Dey, and on Facebook, Aurorah Dey Consulting. I want to thank you all for coming and joining me today, and until next time, ta-ta.